I'm Dwayne Holloway, the Director of Music Ministries and the organist here at the Church of the Good Shepherd. Some of you, I hear, are a bit curious as to how do I go about planning all of the music for our worship services here at the church. It's not rocket science, to be honest, and I have some great resources and some great help in doing it. However, I am always guided by the liturgical year, our lectionary. So I pull up the lessons that are being read that Sunday, focusing a lot on the collect for the day as well as the gospel of the day. Oftentimes you'll hear a sermon that expounds on the gospel reading. If you'll listen, oftentimes the offertory anthem is a complement to the words in the gospel. Sometimes we're using the exact words that you heard in the gospel lesson. It's just put to music. You'll also from time to time notice that the hymns that are selected, they may represent the time of year, that being Advent, Pentecost, the Christmas season, Easter season, Lent, but also they may be using words or referring back to lessons that you've heard read in the service. So I start by reading the lessons. Sometimes I actually go to the Bible and read a few lessons before, or a few verses before, and a few verses after the prescribed selections for that particular day. Then I have some great resources. First of all, regarding the liturgical year, there of course is year A, there's year B, and there's year C. And I actually have a book that makes suggestions with regard to hymns and to anthems and spiritual songs for each year and for each Sunday. I can then go to our wonderful music library and see if we have any of those suggestions, or if we have any music that is relative to the suggestions. Sometimes I don't either have the music, or sometimes I don't like the music or the style of the music that's been suggested, but it may inspire me to use an anthem that we do have in our library and that I, as well as the choir, as well as maybe you, enjoy hearing very much. So I then go to a handy catalog that I have that was put together by my wonderful librarian, Nan Robinson, and I'm able to look alphabetically or by composer and see where and if we have that choral selection in our library. While I'm on the library, the good thing about that catalog that we've put together over 20-something years, we have the name of the anthem, we have the composer, the arranger, we have the publisher, we have the number of copies that we have in our library, and we have the voicing, whether it's 2-part, 3-part, SATB, SSA, that means soprano, soprano, alto, or TTB, tenor, tenor, bass. We also have what we originally paid for per copy. One of the good things about having that resource, that catalog of all the music that we have here at the Church of the Good Shepherd, in the, God forbid, if the church ever did, or if that portion of the library burned, then for insurance purposes, we would be able to replenish and to replace, and insurance would cover at least a great portion of it. So it's really, really important that we do keep up with what we have in this building and how many copies. So Another thing that I have to take into consideration, believe it or not, is you. I'm not only here to serve God and to serve Imogen, our wonderful rector, but I'm also here to serve you. And over the years, I have gotten to know you. I know that some of you wish every Sunday would seem like we were in England, because of course the Episcopal Church came from that Anglican tradition. However, I also know that a number of you came from other denominations and you've converted to be an Episcopalian. But by coming from other denominations, you have a history, a musical history, a musical past. And there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, there's everything right about it. Some of you love spirituals, especially those of us who are Southerners. I am hardly an African American or a black person, but this white human being loves spirituals. They are filled with emotion. They express a time of the downtrodden and the music that served these people to live through that time. I think it ought to be heard. I think it ought to be sung. There are those of you who come from Baptist, Methodist, Presbyterian denominations. There are those of you who would like to hear more melodic music as opposed to the polyphonic music maybe of J.S. Bach, where we have multiple voices running around all at the same time. In other words, many melodies going on at once. So I take all of that into consideration. I also take into consideration that you probably don't want an entire meal or an entire service of all new music, of all new tunes. It's comforting to hear something that is familiar. And I get that, because I'm the same way. However, I'll never forget, actually I'll call her by name. Jan Harris said one time in choir rehearsal, "Dwayne, we don't know what we don't know." And I think that's true of all of us. So I do try to bring something new to the table, if you will, a new flavor, maybe a new rhythm, maybe something that is really contemporary. Some of you may know the anthem by Duraflé, Ubi Caritas. That's a French composer from the late 19th, early 20th century. However, that same text, where charity and love is, God is there. That same text has been set to music by so many different composers. And you recently, before COVID, you've heard it sung many times in this church by a Netherlands composer. Totally different arrangement, same words, different arrangement. I also have some other resources that I use besides these here that were actually created by Carl Daw. We have some supplements to our 1982 hymnal. Of course, this is our current 1982 hymnal that we sing from each and every Sunday and still use to this day. But we also have some supplements. We have a supplement called Wonder, Love, and Praise. There's some new hymns, some new spiritual songs in here. Once again, sometimes they've taken a tune from the old 1982 hymnal, and they've set that very same tune to different words. For example, the tune Abbott's Lee. Now when I say the tune, I'm talking about the melody of the hymn. And there's many, many different hymn tune names. Abbott's Lee happens to be the one that I'm going to refer to at this moment. So, in the 1982 hymnal, hymn 523, the tune, bum, 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 da, 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 da. The words happen to be, glorious things of these are spoken. However, same tune, bum, 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 and so on, just so happens to appear in Wonder, Love, and Praise as, Lord, you give the Great Commission. And quite honestly, at many a diaconate ordination, this is one of the chosen hymns because the words are perfectly appropriate for an ordination of a deacon or a priest. And the tune is very familiar, so the congregation feels very comfortable participating in the singing of it. Let's talk about some other resources. Obviously, I've got to have people to sing these hymns, and I've got to have people to sing these anthems. That is also a consideration I have to make. Who do I have available this Sunday? Now here at the Church of the Good Shepherd, we are beyond fortunate to have some paid singers on our musical staff here, which makes my life ever so much easier. However, when I'm using the entire choir, I may know that a number of sopranos are going to be gone, or that I almost don't even have a bass section that week. So, I have to think about what are my resources with regard to people that can participate. I've got to think about the time of year. Is there a certain time of year that people do a lot of vacationing and they're not going to be showing up for rehearsals? Because they've got to come to rehearsals in order to learn the music. Well, rehearsals. That seems to be a thing kind of the past. That was pre-COVID. That was pre-COVID when we came to rehearsals on Wednesday night, whether it was handbell rehearsal, ensemble rehearsal, or full chancel choir rehearsal. That's when we got to see each other. We got to hug each other. We got to talk about what we were doing and what was going on that week with each other. Sadly, that's just not where we are right now. However, life's going on. It's a little different, and it's definitely different for me in my role here as a musician at church. I have to think a lot more about solos, one person singing, a melody, no harmony. I have to think about what instrument can I bring into the situation. Would you believe it? I've never appreciated violins so much in my life. They're string instruments, and there's no wind or air involved. There's no aspiration of droplets going out that are very scary at this time. So we don't dare have a singer and a flute, because that's two people aspirating out into the open space. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, I'm aspirating. I'm speaking a little bit louder than I would normally. I call it my teaching voice. But you can rest assured, droplets are projecting beyond me. If I were to sing, that's even a further projection of droplets. Therefore, we never have at this time a singer and another singer from another household and a singer and a woodwind instrument. However, a singer and the organ, or a singer and a flute, no, messed up there. A singer and a violin, it works. We're also very fortunate here that we have a family, the Seeger family. They all live in the same household. Their daughters, Ainsley and Avery, are unable to be away at school, so they're all there under one roof. Therefore, with the help of Father Larry, we can even have a 4-part ensemble. And you've heard them, they can sing in here together, which is permissible because they all share the same household space. We also have them do things from home sometimes, and the file gets submitted, and then it's included in our recorded worship service. So one more way we're very fortunate here. Another thing that we're exploring is there's now software products. Now many of you I know are familiar with Zoom. Zoom is a distance learning meeting tool. But Zoom was designed for only one person to speak at a time. A singing choir is all speaking or singing at the same time. So that product does not work for recording choirs. However, there are other software products that do work so that we can have live synchronous singing going on at the same time, and it all creates a file and gets put together. I won't go into all the details about that because quite honestly, it's not that interesting to me. It may not be to you either, but we are experimenting with that, and we have already recorded a very simple anthem. So very, very soon, you will start to see a recording with faces singing, just like the Zoom meetings or what your children may be experiencing educationally at this time. So that'll become also a part of the recordings that we present on Sunday mornings. So life's a little different right now. We actually record the music on Thursdays at 4:30. The sermons, the announcements, and actually the worship service with all the prayers and canticles, the spoken part, that's done around 3 o'clock on Wednesdays. And then as you've noticed, Craig DeShong, our amazing videographer, has been shooting various architectural and decorative elements of our beautiful sanctuary. All of this is then handed off to Kirk Royal, our amazing videographer editor, and he takes all these pieces of this puzzle and puts them together in a chronological order and creates an absolutely beautiful product that I hope that you're enjoying each and every Sunday morning. It's available at 8 o'clock a.m., by the way. So yes, it's a different time. But it's the time that I have tried to embrace the new challenges so that we can continue to worship God with the spoken word, with the sung word, with instrumental expressions. And I hope that our efforts and the love that I hope you know that we put into these services is meaningful and inspirational to you. I want to thank all of you for the incredible opportunity it is to serve this church and to serve you. Warm hugs from a distance. Thank you.